Hey guys. Okay, so a few weeks ago we looked at the question of how to work out whether a house is pre-1947 construction. So that is, was it built in or before 1946? Now this week I want to kind of continue that whole theme, let's just say, and I want to focus on answering the question, how do you work out whether a house is pre-1911 construction? Because a lot has changed within this space since I recorded those original videos on how to date a house back, I think it was 3, 4, maybe even 5 years ago now. Like, I look back at those videos now and I absolutely cringe. Like, I thought I knew some stuff back then. I knew nothing. So yeah, a lot has changed and evolved in this space that I kind of need to update you guys on. But more importantly, not a day goes by where I don't get an inquiry from someone where I'm left saying to them, hey, so any idea when this house was constructed? More specifically, could it be pre-1911 construction? So yeah, it's one of those things that's super duper topical and it just comes up so frequently these days. So I feel like we need to rehash this whole topic. So why is it important? Why should you care, or why do you need to care about whether a house was built before 1911? Well, if you're looking at the house and it's ticking one or more of these boxes or of these features, so in particular like the hard to change features like roof forms, so I'm talking like a kickback roof with or aka bastard roof if you want to use slang terms, or an A-frame or an M-frame roof, etc., and this document is available through our link in bio on our Instagram page. But if you're looking at the house and you're going, oh yeah, okay, we got that feature. Oh yeah, we got that feature. Odds are it's a pre-1911 house. Now, if your house is pre-1911 and it's located within the TBC or traditional building character overlay, then unfortunately the standard demolition exemption that allows you typically to demolish the rear portion of the house does not apply. Now, this is a major game changer when it comes to designing a renovation and extension project. Let me explain why. Typically, when it comes to these pre-1911 houses, you will have a rear lean-to roof form over what would have been originally back in the day a veranda. It's now typically an enclosed space. Most people use it for like a dining room or something like that. Or you have a kitchen which has a gable at the back of it and it's still got the original rear wall. Now, what everyone wants to do on these properties, and I totally get why they do want to do this, what everyone wants to do is rip off the rear lean-to roof form or rip off that rear facade and extend backwards. When it comes to that rear lean-to roof form in particular, no one likes the idea, especially on the inner city properties where you're paying multi-millions of dollars for these properties. No one likes the idea of walking through the house, I should say, and having to duck under the old roof form before they go into the new extension. Like, it feels really, watch my language here, dodgy, let's just say. Obviously, everyone wants to rip it off and have that continuous, nice, open, flowing feeling through the house. So yeah, you kind of want to know whether your house is pre-1911 and therefore whether you're going to be able to remove that rear lean-to roof or the rear facade to be able to go backwards at the start of the design process. Unfortunately, the reality is we often get these inquiries once people are, so let's say, partway through the design process and they're emotionally and financially committed to things, and they are not fun conversations. So now that you hopefully have better understanding as to why you should care about this stuff, the next question naturally is, where do you start? Where do you go? Unfortunately, there is not this one single source of information that you can go to. And before anyone says it, no, the pre-1911 overlay does not show all the pre-1911 houses. Like, I literally had an inquiry come through yesterday from a certifier. He's like, council's told me that this is pre-1911, but it's not in the pre-1911 overlay. And I'm like, dude, these rules have been around for 10 years now. Like, almost 10 years. No, just literally over 10 years. Sorry, it's June that it came in. So almost 10 years. How are you only coming across this now? Like, I was like, I thought as an industry we kind of progressed past this point. But anyway, you cannot rely on the pre-1911 overlay to work out whether the house is pre-1911. I won't go down the rabbit hole of explaining why, but long story short, you just need to understand that I'm going to guess less than 10% of the pre-1911 houses out there are actually mapped in that overlay. And what I'm talking about here is not the rules and requirements that relate to the pre-1911 overlay. I'm talking about the rules and requirements that relate to pre-1911 houses within the TBC or traditional building character overlay. Two different sets of rules, two different sets of requirements, two totally different things. So yeah, do not think that you can rely on that pre-1911 overlay to determine whether the house is pre-1911. So, okay, if you can't just go to this single source of truth, where do you go? I think there's almost 20 different resources that I've come across at least, and I'm not for one second going to pretend I've seen them all. So there's at least 20 different resources that you can go to, and it's not a case of, well, most of the time, it's not a case of just going to one source and getting the answer. It's kind of like a bit of a puzzle game. You've got to get all the puzzle pieces and put them together and get your answer. So if you're really, and I mean really lucky, the very first source you go to will give you the answer. If you're really unlucky, you will work your way through all of those different resources, and at the end you won't get your answer. More likely, what happens most of the time is you kind of piece together a handful of resources and you get the answer, or you get through all of the resources and you go, okay, on a balance of probabilities, it is pre-1911 or it's post-1911 type thing. So where do we start? Well, what I'm hoping in the next 4 weeks, I think I'm going to take. So this week I want to give you guys a bit of an introduction, and then over the next 4 weeks, what I'm hoping to do is give you guys a bit of insight into those resources. So I thought what I would do is in next week, we'll cover off, or next week's video, I should say, we'll cover off the sewerage related resources. Then the following week, we're going to look at probably the lot creation resources. And then the following week, we're going to focus more on the ownership or occupation type resources. And then in the final week, we're going to talk about all the other random stuff that's out there. Now, my high level idea at this stage is basically to go, hey guys, this is what the resource is. This is why it was created. Here's where you go, or what direction to run in to try and tap into that resource, whether it's Brisbane City Council's website or the archives or the State Library, all of that sort of stuff. And then I want to try and give you 3 tips, or tips is the best way to say it, as to how to approach or what to look for in each of these resources with regards to the ones that I have experience with. So it's going to be this real high level overview of what's out there and what you can tap into. Now, from the very beginning, I want to make it nice and crystal clear that this is not a quick and easy process. Hate to break it to you. You honestly need to have a bit of a passion or interest for this stuff and the time to be able to go down this path and do all of this research. So for me personally, I have this weird, almost sick, nerdy sort of passion for history and house dating and all of that sort of stuff. Still to this day don't know where it comes from. Like, I've often sat there and gone, why am I so obsessed with Queenslanders? Why do I love them so much? So yeah, for me, I've got the passion factor, but I do not have the time factor. So when clients come to me and they basically, and I look at the property and go, oh, pre-1911 vibes, like you're ticking these boxes in terms of this fact sheet, guys, I will often dig into the freely available and easily accessible online resources, do a little bit of research myself, sort of tick off a few boxes in the hope that the answer just pops out at me. But it does reach a point where I just go, yeah, guys, sorry, I've hit my limit. Like, I don't have the time to keep going down this rabbit hole. If that happens, people are basically can send them in 2 different directions. The first direction, if you, again, like I said, have the passion or the interest and the time, then I go, hey, here's the direction you can run, go free, see what you can find out. More realistically, what I end up suggesting to people is you need to engage a historian or a heritage expert to go and do this digging work for you. Now, my go-to is the lady that we actually interviewed in the last 2 videos, which is Marianne Taylor, aka the House Detective. So she's a historian and she is an absolute wealth of information when it comes to this stuff. Like, she sent me a job the other day for a property at Fortitude Valley that we're both working on, and she sent through all these photos of the house in 1912, and I'm like, where do you find this stuff? Like, how do you get access to this stuff? My mind boggles at the idea that this exists. Or the other day I was looking at the Field Surveyor's book image, and I was like, what are these little goggle type notations on this house? Like, thought they were windows, but now I'm seeing them on the corner verandas, and now I'm seeing them on doors. Like, I'm confused. Sent her a quick text message and I'm like, please put me out of my misery. What is this symbol here? She instantly told me. So yeah, she's an absolute wealth of information. So yeah, these videos, I'm going to give you the high level overview of what to do, what direction to run. But I want to make it very clear from the beginning, most of the time people just go, yeah, I just am not interested in this stuff, or I just do not have the time, or I don't have the expertise to go down this path. If that's you, reach out to a historian or a heritage architect. And like I said, Marianne is a great option to consider. Now, the final thing I wanted to cover off in this week's video, this whole intro video, is the question of which direction do you run in first? Which resource do you go to first? What order do you process them in? There's no set rule process. Like, you could do it in, what's the word I'm looking for? Chronological. You could do it in chronological order. So start from like the most recent resource and work your way back. Or what I do, like I suggested before, is I start with the freely available, easily accessible resources, the ones that you can quickly kind of search by address, start there, and then you get into the more complex, more time-consuming ones. And then I don't go down the path of doing the ones where you've got to go into archives to physically view records and all of that sort of stuff, because like I said, again, I don't have the luxury of time to be able to do that. But personal preference, like you could run in any direction. So like I suggested, over the next 4 weeks, I'm going to, instead of focusing on the order to work them through, I'm going to focus on grouping them into categories. So hopefully it sticks in people's memory and makes a bit more sense. So I think that's everything I want to talk about today. Now, like I said, next week, join me where we look at the sewerage related records, which is going to be the contour map. It's going to be the surveyor's field book and the detail plans. So we're going to talk about those 3 resources, and then we're just going to flow on from there. Okay, I think that covers off everything I want to talk about. Like I always say, until next time, thanks for watching.
For all you red tape lovers out there, I have one thing to say. Well, no, actually, I've got 3. Number 1, the advice provided in these videos is general in nature. It's not site-specific. You would be a silly Billy to go and make financial decisions based on this advice without first checking with the town planner. Don't be a silly Billy. Number 2, Brisbane town planning is in no way linked to Brisbane City Council. The views expressed in these videos are my own, not council's. So if you don't like them, blame me, not council. Number 3, what was my number 3? Oh yeah, the views expressed in these videos are accurate at the time of recording. If you're watching this video back 10 years from now, the views may not be so accurate. That's all. Bye.